Hi, I'm glad that you're here. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm preparing for you a demonstration of how you go in and work with the color, which is Pantone color, for this particular project this week, which is the assignment of creating a 3-color print-ready business card.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm also showing you the assessment part of this, which is to how to set up a envelope and a letterhead.
Yeah, I read the part about the assessment, and you didn't go into too much detail on it. So I was wondering,
Well, I indicated that I was going to be demonstrating in class, so that's what I'm doing. I'm demonstrating it now, but now I'm concerned that I'm hearing you and you're hearing me. Nobody was in my room. So I have this thing being recorded, and I'm afraid what's happening is that it might not have recorded any sound up until just now, and I'm not sure what I did or didn't do. I don't quite know. I mean, it should have been recording the sound, but you couldn't hear it. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm a little bit concerned right now because, as I say, I've really given most of the lesson, and I may end up having to literally do this over again tomorrow night, just to make up for the fact that there's no sound. Well, let me do this. Let me continue with what I'm. So anyway, you have your business card over here. So what I was explaining is that you have your envelope over here and you have your stationery. And generally, most of the information goes on your business card. You have Bill Sweeney, CEO, for instance. You've got an address, you have a phone number, and you have a an email address. But when you're working with an envelope, the only thing that you really need is your logo and you need your address. So in the case of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click this and I'm going to go edit copy, and I'm going to double click to get onto that artboard, and I'm going to go edit paste. And there I've pasted that logo onto that, and then I'm going to double click down to here and I'm going to go edit paste. And now I've duplicated. Oh, it didn't work. I'll come over here and I'll drag that over, and now I have my, let's go view, zoom out so we can see this a little bit better. And let me come up a bit. So now we have on one document, I should say, one Adobe Illustrator document, we have your business card, you have your envelope, and you have your letterhead. So the last thing that I would do with this is I would come in and I would double click to get my cursor placed in, and I would copy my text, only this part of the text, edit, copy, and then I would click over here in here somewhere, and I got to try to get out of there. Double click over here, get on that board, and then click, and then Control V or edit paste, and now I have my address placed there, and I could possibly just go into one line with that. Anytown, there we go. And now I could just move this up underneath, place it somewhere like that, and let's zoom in, take a better look at this. So there's my, now again, what I would do probably, and this only takes a minute, is I would come over here and I would come in about 1/8 of an inch or so, something like that, and then I'd come down from the top and I'd come in about 1/8 of an inch or so. Oh, and I'd have to go to the view menu and guides, show guides. So I'm setting up a few guides. I don't have to go all the way around with these guides because I'm only working in this corner. So what I would then do is take my logo, and I'd move my logo over maybe right to about this point right there, which is good. And then I would move this guy over until it's sort of aligned with that aqua. So there I go, view, fit all in window, and now I have a business card, I have an envelope set up, and the important thing to understand about an envelope like this is that there's an area in the middle here that is going to be for addressing, and you have to make sure that this doesn't get too close to it. So you want to make sure that this is over far enough. I have this set to, let's see what size that is. Myriad Pro, I guess it's 10 point? Yeah, 10 point. So I have it Myriad Pro 10 point, which is good. I've given myself plenty of space for addressing, and you don't ever want to do anything over in here because this is up in this corner is where they stamp and stuff. And then, of course, down the bottom here, you can do things along the bottom, but I don't prefer that you do, because generally speaking, the Postal Service kind of frowns on that. So I would stay away from it. In certain instances, less is more, or simpler is better. In this case, I think it's one of those cases. So now the other thing I have is my letterhead. And the letterhead you have a little more leeway with. You can put a phone number in, you can put an email address in, because ultimately, you know, you might have on a communication a need for somebody to call. But you make sure that if it's a personal stationery, like for instance, if it's Bill Sweeney's CEO stationery, then yes, you would want to have his name perhaps, or not necessarily his name, but his phone number and a fax number and his email address. Or if it's just a general purpose stationery, if it's general purpose stationery, you would have a generic business number and a generic web address. Okay, so those are the things that you think about with this. And what I might do with this actually is I might click on that, hold down the shift key, click on that, and go edit copy, and then go edit paste. Okay, and then I might bring this thing up in a very similar kind of positioning to where I have it on the other. All right. Mm-hmm. Get it in about where the other is, and maybe come up a little bit, because I think it comes up to about there. It's probably pretty good. And then what I might do is I might take that line right there, and I might scale that line down a little bit until it hits something along like that. And I guess I'd probably come down a little bit more maybe. You know, I'm not, again, what I was saying earlier, I hope this recorded. I'm going to check it out and see. Go to the View menu, Fit Artboard and Window. There's my my letterhead. And what I would do again is the same thing. I'd come over here and I'd come to my 0 point, and I'd come in about 1/8 of an inch. Actually, I'm going to come in 1/4 of an inch, a little bit more. And I'll come down to about 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, and then this way, see what I can do is I can click on these elements and I can kind of place them a little bit nicer, like that. Nice up, nice in the corner. And one of the things that I go to the View menu, and I'm going to go Guides, Hide Guides. One of the most important things to understand is that even though this is a letter, you got a lot of space in here, you still have a limited amount of space. So what you want to do is you want to maximize the usable space. So you don't want to have all this really big. You want it to be all in a very similar size. Go View, Fit All in Window, and you can see that my logo is the same size in all cases. And I've actually utilized a slightly different look for this. But I've tried to keep the same look for this. So it actually kind of comes across fairly neatly. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So I did do a demonstration of how to create these multiple pages in Adobe Illustrator, and I will look at my recording, and if the recording is no good, I will redo the first part of the recording and put it up as an additional recording for you. Sometime tomorrow during the day, I'll record the first part of this over. Hopefully I won't have to do that. I'm not sure why when you came in you weren't hearing me, and I'm hoping that my recording of this night so far has, you know, made some sound so that I don't have to do that. So there's your assignment and your assessment for the week. And the only thing that you have to do right now with this particular project is you have to export this thing, and you're going to export it as an Adobe PDF file, because that's the file format that the printer can use to create this. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that part of the assignment is that you properly, it says it right here, export InDesign or save as Illustrator press ready PDF file. The words press ready PDF file are in big and bold in caps. That's because it's important for people to understand there are two different types of PDF files. There's a regular old PDF file, and then there's a press-ready PDF file. And if you send me, I'm pretending I know I'm your instructor, but I'm also your printer. So when you send this file to me, to send it to me incorrectly, I'm going to send you back an email saying it's no good. You got to send it back again, and your grade is going to be knocked down, and you're going to have to fix it. So one of the things that I want to show you is the difference between a regular old PDF and a print-ready PDF. And this applies not just here, but it also applies in Adobe InDesign. When you create a PDF in InDesign, there is a press-ready version and there's a regular PDF. And I'm going to show you both. So you can't say I didn't show you. It's very important that you know that, all right?
Okay.
So here we go. We've got our artwork ready to go. You've got your art in here. Everything's been checked. Now, of course, I may have a typo in there, but who cares? This is just for demonstration purposes. You will make sure that you have everything correctly typed in there and that there's no mistakes. So I'm going to go to the File menu, and I'm going to go Save and Copy. And I'm in the tonight's logo, tonight's folder, which is where I've been saving things. Adobe Illustrator AI, I'm going to change it to Adobe PDF. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with Adobe Illustrator, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, so
you helped me with it last week, remember?
Okay, all right. So some of the things that I'm doing here now are a little bit familiar to you?
Yes.
Good. So we're going to go Adobe PDF, and it's going to say stationery, and it's going to say copy, and I don't need the word copy, so I'm just going to get rid of copy, and it's going to say stationery.pdf and hit save. And there's my Adobe the Save Adobe PDF. Now, I'm going to leave this for Illustrator. I'm going to leave this at Illustrator default because it'll serve our purposes. I'm going to not come in here. See where it says Preserve Illustrator Editing Capabilities?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to make sure that that is checked. It's got to be checked because I'm going to be able to check you and look at your work if you have that. If you don't, what's going to happen is it's going to make essentially kind of like a bitmap. And when I go to open it, I'm not going to be able to look at anything. So you got to make sure that you're going to preserve this. Now, as I told you a minute ago, there's two different types of PDFs. I'm going to show you how to make the wrong one first, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to hit Save PDF. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you how to make the right one, or I should probably show you what the wrong one looks like first of all. So let me bring that down and let me open up my Acrobat Reader. Give me a second. And now I'm going to take stationery and I'm going to drop stationery in to my Acrobat. And okay, so you see what happened here? Looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, but there is a problem. You are not seeing any crop marks. You are not seeing any bleed.
Yeah, no bleed.
Yeah, so the bleed's gone. The crop marks are gone. I'm your printer. You're going to send me this, and I'm not going to be able to print this properly. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really all I want to show you about that. And I'm going to go back into Illustrator, and now I'm going to save it the right way. I'm going to go Save Copy. And I'm going to change that to just stationery, and it's going to be a PDF. And see, there's already a stationery PDF. I'm going to call this stationery _ correct. Correct, okay? And hit save. There. All right, now this time I'm going to leave that alone. You will too. Leave that alone. But here, you see where it says marks and bleeds?
Yeah.
Okay, click on marks and bleeds. And you see where it says marks, all printers marks?
Yeah.
Okay, start off by clicking all printers marks. Now, here's the thing. If this were a 4-color process job, then we would leave the trim marks, we would leave the registration, the color bars, the page information. We don't need color bars because this is not a 4-color process. It is simply a multicolor process. So we can remove the color bars. And if you want, technically you can remove the page information. Now you see where it says use document bleed settings?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I set up, when I created this document, bleed settings of 0.125 inches. So since I did that, I am asking the PDF to use my bleed settings. If I did not do that, then I would have to set bleed settings. But since I started off by doing that, I don't have to do that. So really, here's what you need to do. You need to select all printer's marks. You're going to leave the trim marks and the registration marks. And you're going to use the use document bleed settings, and you're going to remember to put in 0.125 for bleeds on your document when you create the document. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Hit Save PDF. And now when I drop this down and I go over to my Acrobat Reader and I drop my art in, look at that. You see the difference?
Yeah. It
Okay.
has all the
marks. Yeah, so essentially these are the marks, these are my crop marks. These marks indicate where your piece is going to cut to, and the printer absolutely has to have them. The other marks that you see here are these marks right there. They're my registration marks. Now, since this is 3-color, you have black, you have a black plate, you have a yellow plate, and you have this magenta plate. So what's going to happen is these marks are what you're going to use, or what the printer is going to use, to register those 3 plates on the press, so that when you print this thing, the black printing plate will fall in the proper position, the yellow will fall in the proper position, and the magenta will fall in the proper position, and you will get a properly registered piece. And there is your card. It's got the same information, the same kind of marks, and there is your Aqua Excursion letterhead. Now again, what's most important about this exercise tonight is that you understand how we create this print-ready document. So you think you got it?
Yeah.
Any questions?
I done did my my business card.
Yeah.
I didn't put my name on it. Is that should I put my name on it?
Yeah, because the business card really needs a name. I mean, you can't. I mean, business card usually has a person's name on it, and usually in a company they'll make a number of different business cards. There might be a business card which is a generic business card where there is no name, but the majority of the time what they will do is they will have individuals of any importance in the company get a business card, and they will get a card with their name on it. So there might be 10 different people with the same card but with their name on it. So yeah, I think it is important that you incorporate a name, and if you want, you could, come up with some kind of a title like CEO or whatever, If you don't have a title, that's okay. But the bottom line is, I think having a name on a card, it sort of does make sense, yes.
Okay.
But I'm mostly concerned that I'm your printer, and you're going to send me something that I can print. And if you don't send me something that I can print, then I'm going to have to notify you that I can't use what you sent me. And you will have failed initially, and you'll have to resubmit, because that's the way it goes. I mean, if I was a designer and I sent a job to a printer that don't have the proper markups, I'd have the same issue where basically I'd have to, resubmit the work.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, and another thing, I done it in not Illustrator, but InDesign.
Yeah.
Does that matter?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm going to open up InDesign next, and I'm going to show you a little bit about creating the same project in InDesign, and then I'm going to show you how to package this, and I'm going to show you how to make a press-ready PDF in InDesign. So I'm going to show you quickly, because I got about a half hour, so I think I can do it in a half hour. I can show you all that process as well.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, no, InDesign, if you really want to know the truth, InDesign is the proper application to do a job like this in. But you could, I mean, you could look, I mean, this is right. There's nothing wrong with that card. There's nothing wrong with that envelope. And there's nothing wrong with that letterhead.
No.
All three of them would work. They've been created properly. The colors are correct, and the marks are all there. So the printer would have no trouble utilizing this. But just so that you know, and I'm in a production class. This is a color and production class. My responsibility is to inform you that there are very specific programs that you should be using to do this. It wouldn't be very fair of me to, as a person teaching you color and production, to tell you, oh, go ahead and use Adobe Photoshop to make this. This is not a thing that you would do in Photoshop. Not at all. You would not do this in Photoshop. You could do it in Illustrator. The ideal way to do it is do it in InDesign. But you could do this in Adobe Illustrator quite well, and it would be no problem. If you're working on a brochure like we're going to be working on next, then I definitely don't want you to do that in Illustrator. I definitely want you to work on that in InDesign. We'll talk about that next week. But something like this can work in Adobe Illustrator, and as a matter of fact, the assignment says you can either work in Illustrator or InDesign. So I'm not going to be a hard nose and say, I don't want you to do it in Illustrator. If you want to do it in Illustrator, that's fine. I just did. You can see it works, you know?
Yeah. It's like you said, with print stuff and everything, to me it's a lot easier to use InDesign than it is Illustrator.
Yeah. Illustrator is primarily a program where you're going to create artwork that's going to either be used in print or the web. That's really what Illustrator's job is, and nothing more. You know, I mean, you don't really want to do layouts, multi-document layouts in Illustrator. You just don't. It's not the right program for that. InDesign is just like creating a web page. You don't generally create a web page in Adobe Illustrator, although there is actually a way that you could sort of do that. It's just not the right way to go about it, you know. So you really, as a designer, and again, me as an instructor teaching you color and production, I want to stress the importance of you getting used to, all of you getting used to working in the proper programs. So when you're working on anything that has to do with vector art, you want to work in Illustrator. Anything that has to do with bitmap or raster art, okay, you want to work in Photoshop. When you're working on something for the web, you might want to work with something like Muse, or you want to work with something like a Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver is a great program for working on the web. And if you're working on something for print, obviously you want to go with InDesign because that's really the top program for that. So get used to the idea of doing things in the proper way, because when you start working for somebody, they are going to be expecting you to know and to do that. And I don't want to, you know, think that I never told you and instructed you, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so that's that. Let's move on to InDesign because the clock is ticking. So let's get this thing shut for now. And that's Illustrator. Here's InDesign. So give me a second to bring this up. Come on. Come on. Let's go. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. So here's my, let's go view, zoom out. All right. You zoom out. All right. So you said that you created a card?
Yes, sir.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start off by, this is actually where I created a card. There's the vertical format. And there's a horizontal format, okay? You can actually come in here and you can create other pieces. I just literally created 2 cards because I wanted to show you in this demonstration that you want to create a card that way you can, you want to create a card that way you can. It's totally up to you, okay? So what I want to do, though, is I want to show you a couple of things about InDesign. Because there's similar things going on with InDesign as there is with going into Illustrator. So let's start off by coming to the File menu, and let's create a new file real quick. New document. This is the difference, is that here you're going to create a new document. All right. And my intent is going to be print. And my product sheet, actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use my card. I think I already set this thing up. Actually, I should just do it. Number of pages, I'm going to set this to be, let's set it up to be 3 pages. Okay. And the page size, let's see. Yeah, look at that, business card. So we have a business card in this particular one. So I'm going to choose business card, and notice that right away, the business card is 3.5 inches wide by 2 high, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't want any columns. So I'm going to remove the columns, make it just 1 column, and I don't need a gutter. So I'm just going to remove the gutter down to nothing, okay? Gutter essentially means space between columns. You know that?
No.
Okay, well, that's what a gutter is. Columns means that you're going to actually set this card up to have columns, all right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have columns on this because this is just basically a letterhead. I'm sorry, a business card. So we don't really need columns on a business card, so it's just going to be 1. We do want to have margins, though, and what I think I want for my margin is 0.25, which is 1/4 of an inch. Okay, and oh, by the way, by clicking make all the settings the same, you'll see that they all now become 0.25, which is 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so we talked about margins in the other. Here's the margin in here. Do you see that sort of purpley pinkish color right there?
Yes.
That's your margin. What a margin means essentially is you're allowing a certain amount of space to breathe to the edge of your document. Nothing is going to go past that point. Nothing is going to go past that point. This is going to go past that point because it's going to bleed. It's going to actually go off the page. So anything that's going to go off the page has to go to a bleed. And you'll notice that we don't have any bleeds in here yet. But we do have this thing that says more options, right?
Yes.
Click more options. And we have now what's called bleed and slug. And I want you to notice that my bleed and slug is set up to a bleed of 0.125. Hopefully in the recording earlier, I was talking about bleed, and I mentioned that 0.125 of an inch is 1/8 of an inch, which is a standard bleed. Now, what is a slug? A slug is an area outside the card, which is that black line right there. That's the edge of the card. The slug area is outside here, and I've set my slug area to be 3/4 of an inch. 0.75 is 3/4 of an inch. So what it's saying essentially is, I want you to leave me 3/4 of an inch outside here so that I can incorporate marks for my printer. So that's what a slug is. These are all very important things for you to understand. So what you're going to do here is you're going to set up the intent to be print. I created number of pages 3, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to try to change those pages to be different sizes. There's a little notice here that says facing pages, and you'll notice that that is not checked. Facing pages means that the pages will abut up next to one another. These are not facing pages. These are individual pages. So you want to make sure that facing pages is not checked.
Okay.
All right. And then we're going to start off with a business card, which is 3.5 by 2, 1 column, no gutter, with a 0.25 margin, which is 1/4 of an inch, and then a bleed, which is 1/8 of an inch, 1.125 inch, and a slug area, which is 7.5. Now, when I hit OK, you're going to see this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hit OK. And come on. Bingo. View, fit all in, fit, let's see here. Fit, zoom out. Let's zoom out. There we go. View, zoom out. Okay, so there's my page. Now, let me just quickly show you the lines. Your margin area is 1/4 of an inch. Do you see it? There's 1/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the edge of your page. That's where the actual page cuts out of the larger piece of paper. This out here is your larger piece of paper. So that is what is going to actually be the actual size of your card. This is your bleed area. And then this is that area that we call the slug. It's 3/4 of an inch of just dead space that I want to come up because there's going to be printer's marks on it. So you have to set all this. So is that good? You got it?
Yeah.
Any questions?
None.
Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can come in here. Let's see if I can create alternate layout. All right. And what I'm going to do is I got this number 2 selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an alternate layout. What I'm looking for here is, yeah, I don't see it. 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 Okay. So they don't have an envelope in here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to set the width on this too. And again, what was it? It was 9 and what was it? 9 and a half. 9.5, right? And I think this was 4.125. 4.125. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to change this to a width of 9.5, height of 4.125, and I'm going to hit OK, and actually didn't do what I wanted it to do. It created alternate layouts on all 3 of these. So, all right, well, you know what? That's okay. I got my card here, so I'm going to come over here and click on this, and I'm going to create an alternate layout on that. And I'm going to call this one page size. I'm going to call this one a letter, and hit OK. And now I have letter. So if I click on this, go View, Fit, Page and Window. There's my envelope, and View, Fit, Page and Window. There is my letterhead. So my card, envelope, and my letterhead. Okay?
Okay. What was the sizes for the envelope again?
Yeah, the envelope size is 9.5 inches wide, 9.5 IN, 9.5 IN. I'm giving you it in decimals, 9.5 IN, and
Okay.
height is 4.125 N.
Okay.
All right? And these things here, I might be able to actually delete them. Let's delete that. Yeah, I can. See that? I can delete these guys. So I can delete all these things. And what I'm left with, and there's probably an even better way to do this, but this is what I got, and it's not going to be a problem. So here's what you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with a business card, and you're going to end up with your envelope, and you're going to end up with your letterhead. And then what you would do literally is you would come in here and you would start building your card. Now I'm going to grab all this stuff. All right, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to grab it all, edit, copy, come into my untitled, and I'm going to click here and I'm going to go edit, paste in place, and there you go. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit, and then I'm going to fix something that I noticed right here. I noticed that that graphic is not deep enough. I want it to go to that little red line there. All right, now, so I got my card done. Now, here's the thing I want to point out to you. Take a look over here. Do you see my Aqua logo? You see how that looks?
Blue?
Yeah, but it also looks pretty bad, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you want to see how this is going to look, if you want to get a better idea of how this is going to look, you go to the View menu, and you're going to come down here to Display Performance. And you see where it says Typical Display?
Yeah.
All right. You're going to change it to High Quality Display. And now you can see what your actual logo is going to look like.
Okay.
So there's my business card. I got my business card done. And what I'm going to do is, because again, I want to be able to show you the two ways that you're going to be exporting this. I will show it to you again next week. But I want to show you the two ways that you export this tonight. So I'm going to kind of shortcut this again and click on that. And I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click on that. And I'm going to go Edit, Copy. And then I'm going to go to my Pages. And I'm going to double click on that guy, View, Fit Page in Window, and go Edit, Paste. And there's my logo and my address, and I'm going to bring that up like that, and I'm going to place it something like that. All right? Remember what I told you. You do not want your logo or your elements to go beyond that purple line. Okay? Now, in this case, like I told you, this is an envelope. You don't need this information on an envelope, so you get rid of it. Now, what you might want to do with this, though, is you might want to come over here and you might want to do this. And again, it's totally up to you. You might want to come in here and you might want to place your cursor right there and hit backspace and then hit space. And then what you could do literally is either leave it there, leave that thing up there, maybe move it down just a bit, or if you want, you can bring it over like this, bring it over until it hits about that point, and then bring it down and bring it under here and something like that. And now you can go view, zoom out a little bit, zoom out just a bit, and there you have essentially an envelope. Okay?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to make this thing hard. I'm not trying to make this thing super complicated. What I'm mostly concerned about is that you do handle the colors well, and you handle them the way I explained in the first part of the lesson tonight, which you didn't really see, but hopefully it'll record and you'll be able to watch it. And if it turns out that for whatever reason that first part doesn't record, tomorrow morning sometime I'll go in and re-record the first part of it and put it up as a separate file, and you could watch it. So there's that. Now we're going to come over to the pages and we're going to double click on our third and final piece, and I'm going to go view, zoom out, and let's get this thing zoomed out until I can see the bottom view, zoom out. There we go. And I'm going to go edit, paste. Boom. And now I've got that information, and I can bring that information up here, and I can place that at the top. All right. And, you know, once again, like I say, this is appropriate. You place this thing up at the top like that, and it's more than fine. I mean, you want to make it nicer, you want to play with it a little bit more, there's no problem. But the information that you're going to be using on a letterhead like this would be the address, the phone number, and this. Now, what you could do, theoretically, and I'm not going to bother, is you could change the positioning of this. You could have the address last, you could have the phone number first, and the see what I mean? In other words, you could change that around a little bit if you wanted to do that. But again, this is satisfactory. There's your card, there's your envelope, and there is your letterhead. That is your assignment. File save. That is your assignment. I'm going to save this on my desktop, all right, in my Tonight folder. And I'm going to call this my Stationery Set. _SET, Stationery Set Tonight, and hit save. Save. Okay. All right. Now that I've done that, there's a couple of things that you need to know. There are two ways that you could send this to the printer. One of the ways that you could send this to the printer is by sending it as a print-ready PDF. Okay. And again, that's what the assignment is calling for, print-ready PDF. So if I were going to create a print-ready PDF, you sort of saw me demonstrate how to do this in Adobe Illustrator, and I did indicate to you that it was basically the same. Here's the thing that you have to know. When I started this document off, I made sure that I included a slug area, and that's 3/4 of an inch. My bleed I included, which was 1/8 of an inch, and my margin area, which is a quarter of an inch. Okay? And I put that into my document when I created the document, right? You remember me doing that?
Yeah.
Right. So now I'm going to go File, and I'm going to go Export. You see where it says Adobe PDF Print?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's exactly what you want it to say, because there actually is Adobe PDF Interactive. And this is not an interactive PDF document. This is a Adobe PDF print document. So you want to make sure that you choose Adobe PDF Print. And it's going to say Stationery Set PDF. Okay with that?
Yeah.
Hit save. Give it a second. Now, we got the same stuff going on here. This is telling me press quality modified. I'm just going to go with high quality print. The reason I'm going with high quality print is because this isn't really going to be printed. This is going to be submitted to me, and I'm going to check to make sure that you've done this right. And I don't need it to be any more than high quality, and that makes the file size a little smaller. All right?
Okay.
All right. All the pages, make sure that you indicate all the pages by having that selected. And then, of course, this is pages because we don't have spreads. We have pages. You don't have to optimize for fast web view, but you can leave it if you want. It's not going to be a big deal. This stuff down here, you don't have any of this, so you don't have to worry about it. But remember, in order to make this press quality, got to click on Marks and Bleeds. And then you're going to select all the printer's marks. Now, I'm going to say this again to you. This is not 4-color process. This is multicolor or Pantone. And what you don't need are color bars for that. The registration marks, yes, you need them. The bleed marks, yes, you need them. The crop marks, yes, you need them. The page information, there's no point in not having that. It's perfectly fine here. Here's where it gets really important. You see where it says bleed and slug?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What does it say right beneath that?
Use document bleed settings.
Exactly. So what does that tell you? That tells you that I, knowing what I'm doing, when I created this file, I included my bleed and my slug settings. So by clicking on this, I want you to watch what happens here. I'm going to click on that, and immediately, do you see what it does?
Yeah, it brings up your
numbers.
bleed.
That's the numbers that I chose. Now, it does not choose the slug area. So you got to be careful of this. You got to click on to include the slug area. So you got that?
Yeah.
All printers marks, crop marks, bleed marks, registration marks, page information is fine. And then use document bleed settings and include the slug area. But it is absolutely essential for you to remember that when you start this, you have to put the bleed and the slug area into your document from the beginning. If you don't put them in, there will be no numbers for them to get, and then you're going to have to set it in here. I would prefer you to set it in when you set up the document. It's just a better way to go. So you think you can remember all that?
Yeah, I just got one question for you.
Go right ahead.
What was the slug setting?
0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. 0.75 IN, which is equal to 3/4 of an inch. 0.75.
Okay.
All right. So now I hit export. And if I drop this down, there is my stationery. Where is it? Stationery correct? Yeah, I think that's the one, right? Let's open this up, and let's click on Stationery Set. That's it. Click on that. Oh, no, Stationery. Wait a minute. I didn't mean to grab that one. I think it's Stationery Set PDF. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so there you go. Look at that. There it is. See it? There's my card. There's my envelope. There's my letterhead. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that is what you want. These secondary lines out here, they just show the actual outside edge of your bleed. Don't worry about them too much. The printer will know how to deal with that. What's most important is you have your crop marks here, which shows the area of your live card. And then you have your registration marks. And then you have some page information. Again, what's most important about this is it's a 3-color job. And what you've done is you've correctly set up this artwork so that it can be sent to me and it can be produced properly. So that's the first part of this project. Now, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to come in here real quickly, go back to InDesign, and I'm going to show you how to package this. I'm going to do this fairly quickly because you don't actually have to package this tonight. It's a very important part of the process, and you should know about it, and we will look at it again next week. Okay, I'm going to show you how to package again next week. But I'm going to show you because I got 52. I got a few more minutes to do that. So I'm going to go File, Package. All right, now I get the Package dialog box. Now, if you take a look here, there are these different categories. But you have this, which is the summary page. And believe it or not, all of these little categories basically show up here in the summary. And you can, if you want, look at all these, but I generally just look at the summary. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for, first of all, the fonts. And it looks like there were 4 fonts used. None of them are missing. 0 are missing. None of them are embedded. And none of them are incomplete. And none of them are protected. That's a good thing. That means that there's no problems. If anything comes up as a problem, it would be like, for instance, if one was missing, it would say 1 missing. And then I'd have to figure out what was missing. But when I get zeros in here, I know all my fonts are good. So that's what you're looking for. You're actually looking for these things to tell you very specific bits of information. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, links and images. 3 links are found. Do you know what those links are? What do you think those, what do you think those links would be?
The email address.
Nope.
No?
No. The logos.
Oh, okay.
The logos are linked files, and it appears 3 times. So it says that there are 3 links found. Of course, it's the same piece of art, but it's used 3 times, so it's telling you that 3 links are found. None of which are modified, none of which are missing, none of which are inaccessible, none of which are embedded. And look at this. This is the most important one. None of them, 0, use RGB color space. So that tells you that you got 3 links in there, and because all zeros are there, you're all good to go. All right?
Okay.
Okay. Colors and inks. 1 process color and 2 spot inks. Well, I know what's going on there. 1 process color is the black because I didn't put a spot color in for the black, but that's okay because it's black and the printer can deal with that. 2 spot color inks. Look at that. That's what's important. 2 spot color inks. Because what is this project? This project is a 3 spot or 3 Pantone color project. So when you see 2 spot color inks and 1 process ink, which I know is the black, then basically this is okay. So you got that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you're looking for, and you're actually checking this to look at this to make sure that if you see one of these things as RGB, you're going to go in and fix it. And that's going to occur next week when you get into that brochure. So I'm going to hit Package. All right, now you get this printing instructions. I'm going to change the name of this. I'm just going to call this Stationery. And probably I'm not going to do anything else because I have contact Bill Sweeney, company, some address. I got a phone number, I got an email, and I got some instructions. So what this really does is this creates just a little document that tells some information to the printer. Generally, just look at what it is. If you need a problem, if you have a problem with this file, who you contact? Bill Sweeney. You name the company. The address, you don't have to, but you can put the address in. The phone number, you're definitely going to put a phone number in because if I have a problem, he doesn't want to have to look it up. He wants to be able to find it right there. Also, email. If you got it, you might want to put an email in because then this way he can confirm that he's got this. And it's always good to put instructions into this thing. So I've just indicated that some instructions should go in there. Instructions being anything that you might want to tell the printer as far as what you want them to consider when they produce this job. That's essentially what this little document gives you the ability to do. Just send some additional protection for yourself. Make sure that the printer gets this proper. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to hit Continue. And I'm going to create a folder. See what it says here? Folder, Stationery Set folder. And I'm going to put it into tonight's folder because I've been putting everything in there. Now, look at down here what it does. It copies the fonts, it copies the links graphics, and it updates the graphic links in the package. So that's what this folder is going to contain, all of that information. And then I hit Package. And then this comes up just telling me I'm restricted for my use of fonts, which is no big deal. Just hit OK. And again, I'm going to explain this again next week in greater detail. I'm running out of time, so I want to be able to just get this done. So I hit OK. And now it's saving the document. OK. Now if I drop this down, I got my Stationery Set folder. Do you see the folder?
Yeah.
That's it. Double click on that, and there is my Stationery Set InDesign. That's where the links have been copied, and essentially it duplicates the document, and it makes all of the links refer to here and to the document fonts. When I click on the document fonts, there are copies of the fonts that are being used in my project. Let's go back. And if I click in the links, there is my piece of art that's being used in my project. Come back. See that little stationery right there? That is my file that if I clicked on that, that's my instructions to the printer. So that's what packaging is all about. If this were sent to the printer would be able to print this. So what you could do is go to Tonight, and again, you don't have to do this, but what I would do if I was really trying to do this professionally, I'd take that Stationery Set PDF and I'd drop that into there, and now I have everything that I need to send to my printer. And what I would do is I would go back here and I would zip this, go to the zip folder, see Send to Compressed Zip folder, and there's my Stationery Set folder zip, and I would send that to my printer, and my printer would have everything they need to make sure that this project prints properly. That's my lesson for tonight. I'm done. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So do you think you can handle this?
I'm going to try to work on it tonight, and if I have any problems, I'll meet you in the tutoring thing tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. And that goes for everybody. If anybody has an issue with any part of this, just meet me in the center tomorrow, and I'll work with you on it. In the meantime, once I save this tonight, I'm going to take a look and see if I recorded the first part of this. And if I didn't record the first part of this, probably what I'll do is I'll cut the first part off and I'll redo it sometime tomorrow. Hopefully that I won't have to do that. So that's it. I'm done. I thank you for coming in, and I'm going to stop recording now.